Hey everybody, what's happening around here? I am Tommy and you are on the lifeboat. What's happening? Hope you're having a good night. It's been a hell of a day. I'll tell you all about it here in a minute. Just trying to make sure I'm locked and loaded, if you know what I mean. If you know what I mean. There we go. I think that ought to do it. Yeah, that ought to do it. How is everybody? Krista Melinda, good to see you. Charlie Mullins, my friend, how are you? Ree, good to see you. Sweet Liberty, what's happening? Lynn Sanity. Lynn Sanity, I got mad love for you, girl. I really do. Hope you know that. I'm glad that you're here. Hey, Sandy Wandy, good to see you. Shannon Smith, what's happening? Kristen Melinda's here. Beverly, Allison Metcalf Palumbo. Hopefully I didn't catch you right in the middle of eating or preparing to eat. Heather in the library, good to see you. Yarn Prepper, how are you? Beverly, good to see you. Humble and Kind, the nurse who loved me. Third Eye Open. I think I said Diddy Razzle Dazzle, but I don't mind saying it again. It's a fun name to say in the first place. Darcy, what's happening? Poof, 911. Howdy to all. Good to see you. Muck, how are you? Chrissy Never in Newton and Carnosol. Linda Burton. Yeah. Naomi, good to see you. Carol Ann, what's happening? I live for now. Brenda, Tony Hoban. I'm glad you're here. Lisa Trimble, I'm really glad you're here as well. Good friend of mine. Tommy Bird, what's happening? Hey, Vixen. Miss Sunrise Dawn is here. Seventh Son, Lacey Silver. Hey, Anna, DP in Tennessee. Layla, got me on my knees. Hey, Layla. How am I? Well, I'm doing well, and I'm glad that you enjoyed Colts and Crim. So did I. Miss G, good to see you. Mary Barons, how are you? Nat B from Canada's here. Catalina, glad to see you. Olivia, whine a little bit more. Moldaki, how are you? Darcy, Teresa, Brewsty, thank you so much. You're always so kind. Gamer Jackie, I'm glad you're here. Wilford Harry. Ivy's mama's here. Danette McClure is here. Dubious Maximus. Love the name, man. Dubious Maximus. Shalom to you too, my friend. Shalom to you too. Kestrel, 42. Good to see you, Kestrel. Zalstorm. Valerie. Valerie, I always love it when you're here. I'm glad that you're here. I really am. Good to see you. Humble and Kind. You can, we'll be there. Fortunately, we're not taking any of those videos down. They'll be there forever. Sweet Liberty, good to see you. You can always double back and watch videos if you missed them. They're not going anywhere. West Coast Fancy Nancy. I'm always happy when you're here. Does it look like somehow I missed something? I did. Lisa Trimble with a super sticker. Lisa, thank you so much for the support. I really appreciate you. I'm so glad that I didn't miss that, because I had the potential to. I don't know exactly how that snuck by. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. I'm gonna have to keep my eyes up on the dashboard here. Caddy, you just learned the pink powder is called Tusi. Yeah, I've done a show on it. Here's the thing. So Tutsi or Tusi, depending on how you hear it, this is a substance that usually has a bunch of stuff in it. In theory, it should have the Bolivian marching powder, right? Ketamine and MDMA, but that is not necessarily what is in there most of the time. A lot of the time, there's some fent. A lot of the time, there's a big old dose of methamphetamine. That's a big one. And if you put a large enough dose of that in a pill, a lot of people think it's ecstasy anyway. If you think about what ecstasy is, and we're going to get demonetized on this puppy because we're a little early in the show, but I don't care. MDMA is methyl dioxymethamphetamine, right? So half the drug or more is crystal meth, just hopped up with some other chemicals, right? Some stuff to change it. And I know that someone will see this who's been busted for it, and they'll explain that better, because the people that cook that stuff usually have a pretty good handle on it. Trust me, in prison, there's somebody standing nearby talking about cooking 24 hours a day. It's like hanging out with Walter White. No joke. Drive-in fan, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Flock of Shih Tzus. Found you on STS. Love it when you're on the panel. Well, I'll tell you what. Here's a little inside info. I'm going to be on the panel again on Thursday. On Thursday, we're going to be doing a panel over there, and it ought to be a good one, man. It really ought to be a good one. I think that I don't want to let the cat too out of the bag, but I don't think I'll be the only convict on there. I think you may have some other people on that can weigh in on the whole Diddy situation. Miss Dragon, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Sounds like something that a recent musician was using at his freak offs. There's no sliding one by Dubious Maximus. You know what I'm saying? Jenny, how are you? Thank you. You know what? I have so much fun. This is from the heart too, right? I know people say stuff like this. Garrett Brown, good to see you, man. Glad you're here. Chrissy Never Newton, glad you're here. People say stuff like this no matter what show you go on. You come back and you go, man, I had more fun going on, blah, blah, blah. I've said this from the very first time that I went on Surviving the Survivor. I have more fun on that network than I have anywhere else. It's hey, Snake, my background is the fact that I've been to prison is a benefit over there, but you never feel like a convict or a lowlife. They do treat you a lot of times when I go and I do interviews, I get treated like I'm still a convict, like I'm still in there and I'm still a criminal. And I love the fact that they realize that you have to make a change if you're going to be successful. Humble and Kind says, question, I did a drug test to volunteer with our local police department. Why would Vivance get flagged for me to prove it is my prescription? And the Xanax was not flagged for proof. So I think the answer to that might be because the Vivance isn't coming off. It doesn't say Vivance. Whereas if you flagged for the benzo Xanax, you probably failed for alprazolam, right? Which is the ingredient in Xanax. This is my theory. With Vivance, you probably tipped the cup for amphetamine or methamphetamine. Honestly, that's probably what happened. It would be the equivalent of somebody who takes, if you take any pill, right? Even if you take the big H, right? The stuff that you put in a needle and stick in a vein. All right. Even with the H, over the course of about 6 hours, your body is going to turn all that into morphine. So if you if you trip the cup for morphine, they're going to want to know what the hell you're taking. You feel me? So I think maybe your Vivance tripped the cup for meth and they want to know what you're taking. That would be my guess. Humble and Kind. Did I see a new Diddy lawsuit has been filed? Gloria Allred is her attorney. Really nasty, really sad. Susan P., good to see you. Glad that you're here. Yeah, I saw that. I really did. I saw it. It's one of the most disturbing things you've ever heard. Certainly the most disturbing thing that has come out in this Diddy case by a landslide. This is one of those situations where the person was, sometimes it sounds like date R, right? This is not even close to that. This is a straight assault like you would see in a horror film, right? With a person who's being tied up and just systematically abused. And I hope that if the allegations pan out, and you know what, usually, I like to give an open mind as much as I can, but this guy ain't giving you a lot of room to work with, right? He really isn't. Hey, Sweet Liberty, he's not giving you any room to work with. I don't know if I said hi to you, Incarna Soul. Hey, Cat C. So Vivance is a better Adderall. Yeah, Humble and Kind. Then my guess would be this. So those drugs, hey, look at that. Those drugs that they give out for ADHD are very often in the amphetamine or methamphetamine category. And I know people are going to go, methamphetamine? If you take Dizoxin, which is the strongest drug that they will write you for that kind of ailment for ADHD, you go Ritalin, Adderall, Dexedrine, and then Dizoxin. There's a bunch of other ones that are like side things, but that's usually the big progression. Now, when you get up to Dizoxin, you get a prescription for it. It says on the prescription, methamphetamine. For real. Like they're not even, that's what it is. So that's a very legit possibility right there. Swiss Vapor, good Lord, 21 months. My goodness. Vape, thank you for your service. I don't get to say that often enough to you, but thank you. Garrett Brown says Vivance is let's see here. Liz Dexamphetamine. Okay. So I don't know the LIS, right? The Dexamphetamine Sounds a lot like Dexedrine, which was one of the drugs that they use. But so it's definitely in that family, and that's why you flip the cup for what's going to look just like what could be a street drug. So they want to know that you've got a prescription for something to justify you failing that cup for speed, because that's what it's going to look like to them. Hey, Darcy. Let's see here. No, okay, here you go. For Haven and Grimm. Good God, I sounded like Joel from Surviving the Survivor. What just happened to me? For Haven and Grimm, sorry. Good to have you here. And it's good to have you here. It's always nice to see my girlfriend on the deck of the boat. When I test myself, my clonazepam never tests positive. If you look it up, they test for stronger meds in that category. Interesting, Debbie P. This is, hey, Susan, thank you so much. Debbie P and a lot of other people, there are drugs out there where we assume that it's gonna automatically test positive. There are drugs that you have to be testing for very specifically in order to find. A great example for that are these iso and phytonidazines, the new street drug that is supplanting fent. This is the newest version of street opiates. Hello, Martha. Nancy, good to see you. This stuff is more popular because of the fact that it's a lot cheaper to make. But if you're not testing for it, you're not going to see it. It's plain and simple. You're going to think it's fent or something else. Is Cassie's life in danger after her filing the lawsuits? I hope not. But would the streets still stay behind Diddy with him being locked up? No. The streets are not going to stay behind Diddy. There's a lot of really interesting stuff that has come out. Trying to think of this guy's name. Kirk something or other. But a guy that has come out and said he has seen Diddy strike his mother. Like, that's all over the place, right? Smacking your mom really will lose you a whole lot of street credibility really, really quickly. Some days all I need is 10 milligrams of Adderall, and others I need 1 Vivance. I'm very huge medical anomaly. Well, I'm interested. I don't know what the Vivance drug is, so I guess it is given for ADHD if you're taking that as in the same, in the same treatment regimen as Adderall. So it's probably taking it for ADHD. Is that the weaker or the stronger of the two? My guess is it would probably be a little bit stronger, but that's just based on the name. Dr. K, good to see you. Knitting. Kathy Knitting. And she says, Reese, I had to replay crew on your channel. Glad to see you. Yeah, I'm glad to see her too. Garrett says, I used to get migraines from Adderall all the time. I had a couple when I started Vivance, but they're mostly much lighter now. That's good, right? By the way, if you're new to the Lifeboat, we do talk an awful lot about drugs. We get a lot of questions about drugs. If it's ever something that you're hearing that is triggering you in one way or another, if you happen to be somebody that is really into amphetamines and this kind of conversation bums you out, I would recommend coming back, right? We don't talk about the same thing all the time. We very rarely talk about the same thing twice. And I don't want anybody to be triggered, but we answer questions about drugs, and that does bring stuff up. Dead End Collective says he would put any pharmacist to shame. How do you remember the names of all these drugs and their derivatives? You know what? I was a guy that, believe it or not, Analytical Blarney, thank you so much. I was one of those people that I didn't want to take something that I didn't know what it was, for real. So when people found stuff and said, hey, what does this pill do? I was one of those guys that from Jump Street. I mean, when I was really young, I got the book that had all of the pills in there. And every time after school, I used to hit people's medicine chests. No kidding. I used to go into town and I would say to people, hey, man, can I use your bathroom real quick? And I would go in there and I was trying to find mom and dad's medicine chest, because at that time, the RORA 714 or the Lemon 714, Rora was the big one in the neck of the woods that I lived in. We didn't see Lemon. I guess it was just maybe regional or whatever. But the Quaaludes that used to come in the Northeast were made by Rora, RORA. And Rora 714s were what I was used to hunt down. But if they had something else, I would take it home. And then I would look the stuff up. And that stuff was all learned at a time when my mind was really, really great at sort of organizing thoughts and keeping them for long periods of time. My sister George, good to see you. Candy's Life, how are you? I had to have a cardiologist approve me to take Adderall, family of drugs, because my whole life, my resting heart rate is easily, good God in heaven. You sound like my girlfriend. My girlfriend has a really, really high, like even when she's calm as hell and nothing's going on, she has a perpetually high heart rate. And the doctor said it's not an issue. 20 months. Good God in heaven. You guys are getting old, man. You people are getting old. Yes, I demanded to know what it was that was messing me up. Was fascinating when I, hold on, here we go. Kind of a duplicate question. Don't laugh. How do you know so much detail about the different drugs? So it started out as the fact that I just abused everything. Like for real. I was a dump truck. You know what I mean? I was a guy that just would put any substance into his body. I wanted to feel different. I didn't like the way I felt in my own skin. And what I was doing, I didn't realize it at the time, but what I was doing was hunting down heroin. I was in the process of eliminating every substance on planet Earth one at a time. And it doesn't mean that I did it once and stopped. I might get high on whatever I was doing for 4 or 5 years, on and off, or, you know, with pot, I smoked for a really, really long time. But once I got to heroin, it was over. Hold on one second. Being honest about meds and drugs and psych evals, you knew which drugs he'd get a substitute for. Yeah, you know, after I decided that I was going to get clean. Hello, Kathy. After I decided that I was going to get clean and sober, right? I went back at it with a completely different mindset. I started to research what drugs people were abusing, and I started to research those drugs. And it was, I knew about them from the street side. I didn't know about them from the ecological side of it. So I did a lot of research. I read a lot of stuff. And it's funny because a lot of the stuff that you read, if you've, like, for instance, any of the opiates, there's not an opioid on earth, unless it came out a year ago that is something that I didn't beat the hell out of. I've been off of all opiates for about 9 years, right? Prior to that, I did them every single day for decades. And my go-to was heroin, right? Tar heroin, but I would do any, and I mean, if it was free or if I had a shot of stealing it or something like that, any opioid whatsoever. So it was interesting to go back and research all these drugs that I had gotten high on, because a lot of times the stuff you're reading doesn't make sense, right? And then, some of the stuff too, the Quaalude was removed from the market because they determined there was no reason to write a prescription for it, even though it was the drug that there were more prescriptions written for than any other drug in America. They realized that there was no reason on God's green earth that anybody should be written a prescription for that. It wasn't a sleep pill. It wasn't anything. Coach Lisa, good to see you. And at that point, they put it out of business and stopped manufacturing it in this part of the world. Hey, Kristen Kruger. So the reason that I bring that up is we had a drug called Opana, right? And Opana was too dilaudid what OxyContin is to Percocet. So OxyContin is a time-released Percocet, right? It's just, all it is the same drug that's in Percocet, which is hydrocodone, right? When they put a time release on it, it becomes OxyContin instead of oxycodone. But it's the same thing. Now they took hydromorphone and they put a time release on it, so it was and I never have done it. This is one of those drugs that I never had a chance to do. I was already incarcerated when this was starting to gain some traction on the street, and by the time it started to make it into prison, I was already sober. But I remember thinking to myself, "What in sweet God do they need this drug for? Like, honestly, is there anything out there that you legitimately need to treat somebody that needs this much pain relief?" And they determined, much like the Quaalude, that no, there isn't anything out there that needs that much. It was catering to drug addicts, and that's about it. It's interesting because you have also kept up with generic pharma with a different name, which no one could possibly remember. You do it off the bat. I appreciate that, Dead End Collective. It's I did spend an awful lot of time reading about this stuff. I put a lot of time and a lot of effort into it. And once I started on the lifeboat, I talked to people so often, there were so many people I was talking to about drugs that a lot of times they're bringing in drugs that were new to me. The kratom was a drug that no one was doing when I went to prison. It just was not, in the US. It had, and I'm sure that there were people here doing it. It wasn't in every friggin' gas station in America like it is now. Or tianapinin, whatever that stuff is called. I never say the name right. But all of these head shop heroin, gas station heroin, there's a lot of stuff out there right now that reacts to the mu receptor in the brain, the same receptor that opioids attach to. I did a show on it. There's that stuff that you drink, comes in a little blue bottle. The name of it is escaping me at the moment, but I had never seen it other than when I did shows on it. And the other day I was out of my car and I stopped into a gas station and I got gas and went inside to grab a drink. And in that little glass case right there, I saw the little blue things, chill out, something along those lines. It comes in a little purple bottle about this tall, chill out, relax out, something. It's got a name like chill out or relax or something like that. But I saw the thing sitting there and thought, holy crap, they're selling this right down the street from where I live. Hold on one second. Yeah, the purple, for the life of me, I can't think of the name of this stuff. I did a show on it. Hold on one second. I'm going to find part 1 here because I saw. Let me see. Now I've already forgotten what I'm doing here. Hold on, people. Bear with me. Candy's Life. Let me see if I can get back and find the first part of it. There it is. Comment for Tommy. I had a partially good and partially bad day. I went into Discord and was somehow thrust into a nasty, hate-filled server and cried all afternoon. Wow. I love Reese and I just can't. I'll leave that one up there for a second. Yeah, be in a chat that puts her or any of the people I love down so viciously. Well, I appreciate that. Here's the thing. Everybody is entitled to an opinion. They really are. And not everybody is going to love either of us, right? Me or my girlfriend. You're entitled to not like us. You're not entitled to make stuff up whole cloth about us. And that happens a lot. And it is what it is. The beautiful thing is that she's 5 days off of any of that crap. Reese has not been going and looking at any of the things that people make. Yes, thoughts and prayers, please, for Miss Sunrise Dawn. She got confirmation today that her father's cancer is back for the 3rd time. Yeah, we can get some ones. Hey, Monk, good to see you, Monk. Glad that you're here. Absolutely. Kathy Ann, good to see you. Kathy Ann, shout out. She put together a short for us based on some of the stuff. Hey, Casey, on some of the stuff having to do with Diddy. And I'll be damned, that thing got a lot of views. Really got a lot of views. One of those things that really makes your day. Hey, Heather. It's always nice. Susan P., good to see you. Jay Rambo. It's always nice that when you have an opportunity to make a little hay with shorts, because they don't always work that way. Your son is taking D-amphetamine salts extended release, Jay Rambo says. Probably for ADHD as well. Lacey Silver, good to see you. I know that there's a big controversy that surrounds these drugs. And a lot of the reason is there's a lot of kids that get put on this stuff at really young ages, right? But we're all adults. If you're struggling to concentrate, for narcolepsy, there you go. I know that they give amphetamines out for stuff other than just attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. They also give it out for narcolepsy. They also have something called third shift disorder. No joke. These are people who over the course of a lifetime work jobs that require you to work in the middle of the night. And it ends up really inverting a person's like circadian rhythm. And they end up using amphetamines as a way to kind of level that out a little bit. That's Adderall generic, says Nancy. It sounded very much like it. I didn't want to say that if I was going to be wrong, but I thought that sounded really familiar to me. Tomorrow, people. Blast from the past. Good to see you. Circadian mayhem. Al Bauman, great way to put that. Tomorrow, I am going to be on a show in the UK. I'm going to be on there at about 1 o'clock. I think it's about 1 o'clock Pacific time. That's going to be a thing. I will put up some info about it when this is over. There you go. Kathy Ann has already done it. Thank you, Kathy Ann. The Sean Atwood show tomorrow. We're going to be talking about Diddy. This is exciting. This is a pretty big channel, folks. It's always exciting when you get an opportunity to bust over there. Tammy, you can get an email address. It is tommyscoville@gmail.com. Just my name, tommyscoville@gmail.com. That'll get to me if you want to drop me one there. But yeah, this is a big channel, about 800,000 subscribers, which is always, the bigger they are, the bigger they are. Moose has been doing considerably better. My understanding is that my girl was able to get his nails clipped, which says a lot about Quibsy, for the record. He's that cat's got the potential to be looking at you with 10 stilettos and razors, but ended up pulling that off. Sean was in an Arizona prison too. Well, I'll be damned. I'll give us something to talk about. I'll give us something to talk about. Yeah, I've never been on his show. I've only watched it a couple of times, but from what I've seen, I dig the content. I really do. So I'm looking forward to that. Horton Thistle, thank you so much. You're very kind. I really appreciate that. That's a super kind thing to say. I'll tell you what, people, while we're talking about all things lifeboatish, I can't tell you how much fun I had having Russ on for Night Yard the other night. Had a really great time doing that. He has agreed that he is going to come back. So that's something we're going to keep rolling. Pretty happy about that. Getting Night Yard back on a weekly basis, I think is something I'm really looking forward to. He wrote a book about the horrors of American prisons. Oh, wait. I may know this cat. Damn. I think I know who you're talking about. That's crazy. I did not put those two things together, but I think I know who you're talking about. And I had no idea that's whose show I was going on. Now I really need to do more homework. Helena, Flock of Swan Boats. Good to see you. Sometimes these things come literally out of the blue. You get an email that says something like, "Congratulations, we would like to have you on our show." And that's now I do know who you're talking about. Virginia, good to see you. Glad that you're here. If you guys got any more questions, throw them up there. This is an anything goes today. Kim Roy, good to see you. We came on today to kind of let our hair down and just let anybody ask anything they want. If you guys want to keep true crime and Diddy going, knock yourself out. If you don't, this is your show. So ask whatever you'd like. Can't tell you how important it is to keep up trying to get the right cocktail of meds for better mental health. Don't give up. 0 symptoms is possible. Well, Valerie, there's nothing wrong with being a lurker. I think all of us go through times in our lives when we're far more out in the open, and then there are times where we're not nearly as much. Kestrel says, I read his books. Sean's mom wrote a book too. Well, that one I'm not aware of. But I am aware of the one about talking about the horrors of the prison system over here. Wine a little bit more. Good to see you. Yeah, Night Yard's cool, isn't it? Why, thank you. You like the Carolina blue, and that is exactly what it is. This is Carolina blue. Yeah, he was This cat was a drug dealer, wasn't he? You're already better not taking Wellbutrin. You know what? For some people, it is exactly about finding the right balance. I'm not a guy that's going to tell you that you shouldn't be taking meds for your brain. I am not a doctor. I am not that cat, right? For real. But you have to trust your doctor, right? That's massively important. And hopefully you got more than a doctor, right? Hopefully you got a therapist, you got a doctor, you've got a group of people that are trying to help you on your journey, right? Peer support, so that all of this comes together in a healthy fashion. And you're eating and you're sleeping and you're exercising. And when all of those things come together, it's the potential for somebody to live a very air quotes normal life. You follow me? And I say air quotes normal. Oh, Mark Pyre's music was beautiful tonight. Well, that's nice to hear. That's nice to hear. Hold on one second, folks. Big Pete, I removed your message, and I'll tell you why. Because you're coming into my chat and advertising the name of another channel, right? You can do that if it's a channel that I think puts up content that is in the same vein as what we do here on the Lifeboat. The channel you're putting up isn't, right? So I would really appreciate it if we keep the name of other content creators out of the chat. That's out of respect. It's just the right thing to do. It's kind of considered bad form to come in and advertise somebody else's stuff in someone's chat. Not being disrespectful, just keeping it real. Lucia, good to see you. Lucia says you have to find a doctor who listens and you can trust, but still you have to advocate for yourself. That's literally the most important thing. They're human beings and they're overworked, right? And their mistakes can really mess with your life. I'm there now. Thank you, Lucia. I want you to think about this for a second, right? Pick whatever job you do, right? Think about whatever you do for work. If you tow cars for a living, right? If you're a guy that works at a golf course for a living, whatever it is you do, think about the part of your job that you do over and over and over and over and over again until it's just mindless. It's the kind of thing that you could do, right? While talking on the phone, doing something else, it just becomes second nature. And that happens, sadly, with healthcare. There are people that just see so many patients and it gets to be a turn and burn kind of thing where, I mean, they will answer questions, right? They're usually fantastic about that. But if you don't take the time to ask them, they're going to steamroll right over you. You know, you really do have to advocate for yourself. You got to go out of your way to make sure that your interests are being represented by somebody other than the doctor, right? You're the only one who really knows what it is you're trying to get out of treatment. Wow. What's the one or two things you would tell a 25-year-old you? Here's the second part of that question is key. And do you think that the 25-year-old you would listen? Knowing what I know now, I don't think I could get a 25-year-old me to listen. I wish that I could say that that's different, but I can't. What would happen is that 25-year-old me would just keep chugging and he'd just keep partying. I had so many people that said all the right things, right? I really did. I think that what happened is the realization that I didn't have another one in me. They weren't going to give me another shot. You know, the feds, they're not as kind as the state. And if you get one or two sentences with them, the next one, you're not getting out. Thoughts and prayers, please, to everybody on the Eastern Seaboard. Our friends down in Florida are facing some wind, right? And I think the last I heard, this was a Category 3 or something. So if we can get some thoughts and prayers for them, because there's a lot of people down there I care an awful lot about. Speaking of which, Lisa Trimble says, waiting for a hurricane tomorrow afternoon. Ones, please. May have to evacuate, and my roommate isn't doing well. Yeah, that would be a difficult evaluation. I mean, evacuation, rather. So Kathy says, did I see Nancy Grace YouTube channel? The title is saying Diddy Boo gets 169 daily to buy food. She wants to know why he's getting special treatment. I would have to watch that. I would have to watch that. In pre-trial detention, right? So county jails, whether they be fed or state, sometimes they have short order cooks where a guy can actually buy a meal, one meal at a time, usually just lunch, but you could buy a pizza or you could buy a burger or you could buy things like that, which is really kind of crazy. Have I ever tried the 12-step program for addiction? What step did you find the hardest? Layla, I tried 12-step programs, and I never got through enough of the program to answer that. In the first three steps, I relapsed every single freaking time. Right. The problem for me was that I was being put into an environment with an awful lot of people that didn't want to be there any more than I did. I was court ordered to go. I was there because the court had said I had to be there. And 80% of the men and women in the room were there because the court told them they had to be there. And everybody was standing there in the beginning wanting to get the paper signed by the host so that they could show that to their probation officer and keep from going back to jail. And that's the only reason people were there. So it didn't work well for me. And again, not because of the 12 step, but because of me, right? I wasn't in a place in my life where I was ready to actually try to do that. I was that 25-year-old kid that that I wish I could say something to. Here's the thing. If I could talk to my 25-year-old self, I probably wouldn't try to talk him out of ending up in prison because I don't think that anything would have stopped me from doing dope. But I think that maybe I would have made some suggestions that maybe my dumb butt might have listened to. You know what I mean? Like maybe drink more water, use some sunscreen, the kind of stuff that, as you look back, would have been so easy to do. Should I leave the hospital? I am in for back surgery. Found out several hours ago. The second in command, Jerichoff, is in charge of pain management for the whole hospital. I can't believe my surgeon pulled this. I'm not sure that I understand the exact question that you're asking, Debbie P. My advice would be, and I don't know the situation, but if you're getting ready to walk out of that place, you're going to have to sign a form before you leave. A form is called an AMA form, right? Which stands for Against Medical Advice. I have found that more often than not, when I don't take the medical professional's advice, bad things happen for me. But that's me, right? I don't know. Everybody's situation is different, but for me, that's kind of where I'm at. Layla, here's what I know from people that I have worked with. The people that I've worked with who are in 12-step programs, it gets really difficult when you start taking that personal inventory, right? When you start looking at who you really are. Now, I did the exact same thing. I didn't do it in the 12-step. In fact, I probably did every one of the 12 steps working with Q, but they weren't put together in that order or in that way. But when you start looking at your past, when you start peeling that onion to find out why you do dope, this all gets hard. Whether you're doing it in a 12-step program or whether you're doing it in a journal or whether you're doing it sitting in a room, or when you start to get to the core issue, because I promise you this, even if you think, well, I drink because I like to party and then it kind of got out of control. Or I got high because I liked the way it felt with my friends. And then the next thing you know, you're going to peel that onion and you're going to find out that deep down in there's something that makes you feel less than. Makes you feel less than something, right? not quite beautiful enough, not quite smart enough, right? Mom didn't love you enough. Whatever it is, there's something that the dope or the alcohol or the habit takes away, the food, whatever, right? We're all in the same boat. Doesn't matter what it is you're using to control the fact that you're unhappy in your own skin, right? But if you're using a substance or a habit in order to do that, the process of dissecting what it is that you are uncomfortable about, that's the hardest part of this entire journey. And that is regardless of which system you use. Ashton Kutcher, you know something? Here's the thing with Ashton Kutcher. The thing with Ashton Kutcher is this: even if that fool doesn't get canceled in this, right? Even if this guy doesn't get officially canceled by all of the people on, you understand the point I'm making? This guy is an absolute asshat who has been out in the wind. Even if they don't nail him to a tree, even if his hide doesn't end up in court, this is yet another friend of his, and a lot of videos that come back ugly. You follow what I'm saying? There's a lot of videos that just come back making it look like the stuff he said about the Diddy parties, where he starts to bring it up and he goes, "Oh, I can't tell that story. Oh yeah, I can't tell that story." It's odd that two of his closest and best friends are both being hemmed up on this charge. It doesn't look good for him. It really doesn't. No, Big Pete. I've never been high on a stream, with the exception of the day that I did Valium and drank. And I have come on after drinking. Absolutely, but that would be the extent of the things that I have come on under the influence of. Uh, yeah, that would be them. You will finish battening down the hatches tomorrow. I'm telling you, thoughts and prayers for all of you. It truthfully bums me out whenever something like this is happening. But the best that we can do is a snot face. The best that we can do is to sort of lend our thoughts and prayers. And speaking of thoughts and prayers, to anybody that was praying for my girlfriend's kitty, that has worked out for being solid. You know, as it turns out, the cat is healthy, and that's a beautiful thing. The fact that it doesn't have feline leukemia or any of those really kind of heavy ones, that's really good news for us. Anytime, I don't know how many of you, well, I know a lot of you actually have adopted kitties. It's a hard thing when you fall in love with the cat and then you got to go get it tested, because the number of cats that come back positive for it's a very high number, and I think it had everybody a bit nervous, because she's just bonded with this cat, man. She really has. She's just bonded with this cat. And to be really honest with you, the cat seems to have bonded with her, which I think is awesome. That she's starting to really get it. I mean, she loves cats, she loves dogs, she loves all of it. But there's something. This cat's got her number, and I love seeing somebody really become a cat person. Oh, Snotface, I'm so sorry to hear that. 17 is a great run, but I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Swedish Lena, how are you? Glad that you're here. The nurse who loved me says, in my opinion, Oprah probably has blind spots with seeing dangerous people after growing up abused. I have the same thing. My psych told me about it, and why we end up not being able to spot dangerous people. You know what? Um, I would be willing to bet you that's a possibility. It really is. That's a possibility. Yes, his name is Seamus, and he is healthy. Hello, Zarina. Snotface says he's the Walmart greeter of the house. I have one of those too. Her name is Squirrel Nut. If there's an issue between Seamus and Moose, well then maybe Moose will have to come home with me when I come back from my trip. If that's the way. Humble and Kind says, I wish we could spot toxic people and see through them. You know what? Here's the thing. Do you think it's hard to spot toxic people? Listen to the words that come out of their mouths, right? There's a person here asking me questions about whether or not I ever caught a buzz or whatever, right? The people who are out there having fun with that, listen to the stuff that comes out of these people's mouths, right? That it drips with hatred at a level like nothing you've ever seen. Toxic people these days, I don't find a lot of them lurking behind corners. For real. The one thing you can say about this is it has turned idiots into idiots, right? You got a real good idea of who's an absolute flying jackass. All you got to do is get a look at their social media, right? Almost everybody's got a social media footprint. If you're getting ready to hang out with somebody and spend some time, maybe go check out what they like, right? What they give thumbs up on, what they give thumbs down on, what comments they leave. And if it's just dripping with hate, maybe it's not a great idea to start down a relationship with somebody who displays that kind of hate on a regular basis. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just an opinion. I do think Moose needs me, although Quib said he's really been a lot better. That when I take off, you got to know this. When I take off, the cat freaks out because I play with the cat a lot. I spend a lot of time farting around with that cat. And he's high energy. I got videos where, I used to have him attacking the sort of the big furry thing, as far as Squirrel is always chilled out. She is just such a chilled animal. She really is. She's doing you know what? What am I doing? Check this out. Check this out. All right, this is going to take 1 second, but we're going to do it. So hang out, and we will make her the star of the show. Wait. Do. Look at that. Just in time, right? And she's cleaning her face. The perfect time for the for the cat cam. I totally forgot I had the cat cam wired up. By the way, this is a new cat cam. The original one, as it turns out, this is not such a great camera. This it's hooked on my other. There we go. This one, not such a great camera. So I was forced to make a decision, and that decision is we got another camera here for Squirrel Nut Zipper. Awakened by the Looking Glass. Good to see you. Thank you for kind words. I appreciate you. Black Boots, like the Squirrel Cam. I know if it were not for the Squirrel Cam, I would have a lot less people who hang out. Squirrel is, she's absolutely just far more fun to look at than I am. You know what I'm saying? Pretty damn special, that animal. Tommy Bird says, yeah, I feel the toxicity of toxic people within the first sentence out of their toxic mouths. And you know what? This is, she's getting ready for her close-up. Very clever, Serena. She's ready for her close-up. Admiral Scoville. Yes, she is. She's amazing. Tommy Bird, I'm with you. I really am. I'm to that point where these days I don't feel like it's sneaking up on me much anymore. Maybe it's because I'm such a polarizing character that people feel the need to either love me or hate me. So whatever the case, but it's definitely one of those things that usually doesn't take a whole lot of time. And here's the thing. We've said this 100 ways since we started the double agents. We've said this 100 ways since we started the boat. But one of my favorites is don't try to teach a fish to ride a bike, right? Because you're going to waste your time and you're going to piss off the fish. And if you find yourself butting heads with people who are just too toxic, then maybe walk away, right? Cut that crap out like cancer. Why do we try? Why do we try to get in there and wait among it and see if we can change people or change their mind? Or, you hear someone today. I ended up in a chat room, and by the time the chat's over, the person's in tears. Okay, well, if those aren't tears of joy, or if those aren't the kind of tears that you shed when you're actually doing something positive in life and moving forward, I would put that back on my list of places I'm not going back to. But it's to each their own. Discernment, says Tommy Bird, and I. The new CAD cam is also not aimed down at your crotch area. Well, that was one of the reasons for the new camera. No joke. The other one absolutely was like, right in here at the junk area, and I felt like if I moved the wrong way, I'd be in trouble. Giving people a million chances is my toxic trait, I think. Well, we need to work on that, Kristen Melinda. Seriously. And I have high hopes for you, because Kristen Melinda is one of the brighter bulbs here on the Lifeboat. I have very high hopes that you can work on that. I have. This is something that I have begun to work on big time. I'll tell you something else, man. I'll tell you something else. I'm paring it down, and I hate that that's the world that I live in. Right, Sarita, that's awesome. You know what? That's awesome. Hope somebody gets a screenshot of that, because that's just downright funny. Brewsty says, wow, Tommy Bird, I have been journaling about discernment for weeks. How about that? How about that? See that? Serendipity. Hey, Miss Weedy Poo. Glad that you're here. At the ripe age of 54, people have 10 seconds to be accepted by me. You know what, Anna? That's about all I got. For real. That's about all I got. By the way, if you are 54 years of age, that makes you the same age as the defendant. Mr. Sean Combs is also 54, born in 1970. I happen to also be 54 currently. Sometimes the bulb is flickery, but it still lights up. You know, it's really funny that you say that. I had a friend in high school, and he used to say that all of the time about his brother. I would bring his brother up, and he'd go, yeah, man, he's got 2 or 3 brain cells. He's like, and it's going like a light bulb. And the sad thing is, that was about right. It's the Central Jersey in you. Hey, I love Central Jersey. Serena, nothing wrong with that. Ivy's mama says, I have a coworker that I don't like to see calling me, always complaining about the old stuff. She covers for me at work, so I take her calls. A lot of times the people in our lives who are toxic, there is a give and a take, right? There are toxic people in my life right now that I tolerate because of YouTube. There are toxic people in my life today who, but here's the thing. There's a difference between tolerating somebody, right? And really sort of being forced to let somebody into the inner sanctum, the part of your world that should be reserved for people who truthfully have your best interest at heart, right? Wow. Irrelevant Panda says, there's a comedian on here on YouTube who is having a moment lately. Josh Johnson. He put up an hour-long set tonight about Diddy, highly recommended. All right, Josh Johnson. I don't know that I recognize that name. Kestrel, I'm not sure what the not me reference is, but I'm going to guess it isn't you. I think that's probably a safe bet. Oh, your age. Yes, the defendant is 54 years of age. I was actually really surprised to hear that. I'm sorry. I thought the guy looked younger than that. And maybe it's that low pressure lifestyle he's been living, right? I'm telling you, we're going to watch him age now. You know what? Nat B from Canada says, after being on this platform for 5 years, I can sniff nasty people out, and I keep my circle very small now. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. You thought younger too, says my sister George. Yeah, I just did not see him being 54 years of age. But and Mock says, "Damn, I'm getting old." That's kind of been my sentiment. I've been feeling that way for a long time. Buddhist beer. Doctor told me Zoploxin sleeping pill can cause confusion and memory loss. Sleeping pills in general have more adverse side effects. I don't care what drug, with the exception of course, chemo, but with the exception of chemo, which is poison, you're not going to come across anything that has more adverse reactions, more warnings, more dire consequences than taking sleeping pills. I did a show and I talked about this. How much more likely you are to die younger if you take sleeping pills is terrifying. It really is. It's terrifying. People who take sleeping pills don't live a long life. Look it up. I promise you. Yeah, I'm with Kestrel. Kestrel says, I won't do sleeping pills. I just don't sleep. That's where I'm at. You know, Nancy says, I have lost the ability to guess people's age. You know, the older you get, the harder that is. I mean it. I'm always shocked by certain people's age. Ambien is Satan, says humble and kind. My pharmacist knows me so well they refuse to prescribe it to me. Sounds like a good pharmacist. I've told my stories on here about it. My dad had a really adverse reaction to it twice. When you hear the stories now, they sound really funny. But at the time, they were terrifying. They really were. We thought maybe he was having a stroke because the stuff he was saying was making no sense. He was talking about turbans, like people wear on their heads. And he said, you need to check the hamper, you know, the clothes hamper. He said, I've got turbans in there, turbans and handguns. And I was like, I'm looking at my dad going, you got what? Turbans and handguns? He's like, yeah, turbans and handguns. And, you know, my mom was saying to me, I think he's having a stroke. You know, he's not making sense. And I was about to like freak out and start trying to get him to the hospital when I said to him, hey, Chief, did you take any medication today? And he goes, yeah, I took 2 sleeping pills that do absolutely nothing. And I said, okay. But we found out that night that Ambien was a no-no, right? The second time they gave it to him, he was in the hospital already, and it wasn't anywhere apparently on his paper. So they gave him the sleeping medication, and he got weird as hell and said he wanted my mom to come and see him. And when we got down there, he was saying they were trying to kill him. He was convinced that the hospital was trying to kill him. He said there was a guy laying next to me. Now he's gone. And we're like, yeah, he probably went home. He's like, no, it's not like that. So my mom said, I'm going to go get him something to drink. And she came back with a can of Sprite or 7-Up or something like that. And we cracked it and she handed it to him. And he went, you take a sip first. I mean, honestly, like hindsight, it was pretty damn funny. But at the time, it looked like my dad was, was losing his mind. The second one I really thought was funny because we knew, like as soon as I got there and he was talking about, you know, people there wanting to take him out and whatever. I said, did they give my dad a sleeping pill? They give him that Ambien crap? And they said, yeah. I said, yeah, you can't give that to my dad. You know, it just does not work out for him. Yeah, you know what? Here, this is a lot of people who will say the same thing, right? I did lots and lots of hallucinogenic things in my life. Ambien was the only one that scared the crap out of me. Tried it once, never again. Agreed. If anyone is ever dumb enough to try to make me choose, I got you. That's all probably not a bad idea. Ambien terrifies me. I have a history of sleepwalking too. Yeah, if you have a history of sleepwalking, I would really avoid it. I would really, really avoid it. Well, I'm glad to hear you're getting the sleep that you need. Everybody needs sleep. It is, it's probably my favorite previous job, ski ambassador. The ski ambassador for Snowbird Mountain Resort. That was my favorite job other than this. Public speaking wasn't as much fun as that. I mean, obviously I wasn't, hello, you dear. I wasn't making huge money working at Snowbird Mountain Resort as a ski ambassador, but I got to meet really cool people and take them skiing around the mountain. And they left huge tips, like stupid tips. I took around the guy that owned Virgin Air and Virgin Records, Sir Richard Branson. I took he and his family around Snowbird on tours, a lot of famous people. But it was a great gig because all I had to do was ski. It was like, My job was to make, Snowbird in Utah. My job was to make Snowbird look good. And it was just fun. It was a really good time. Your mom had the same reaction to Ambien. 1 million people have. Famous people, actors, politicians. One of the Kennedys had a terrible reaction, was, driving around, not having any idea where he was, got out of the car, was, on a highway, like got out and started walking around. It was, Kristen Kruger said, I walked a half a mile to our mailbox in my PJs, and you can hurt yourself sleepwalking. Not good. That's terrible. That's terrible. Oh, if you humble and kind, if you watch my videos, you'll go to my shorts and watch the videos of me and Squirrel Nut Zipper. I take Squirrel out every day. She goes outside with me virtually every day. What does Green State mean? Well, the Green Mountain State would be Vermont, and that's because it's Latin, Vermis Montis, the Green Mountains. But the Green Mountain State, that's what that is, yeah. Would you recommend ketamine treatment for mental abuse from a spouse? I have nightmares quite often, but the with the ex starring in them. Ivy's mama, I would recommend talking to a doctor. I have had a split. I don't know too many people that said, nah. There are people who say it's absolutely astounding how much this helped me. Or there are people that say, I didn't like it and I stopped almost instantly. There's not much in between. So if you happen to be one of these people that it works for, it seems to me to almost be miracle in how it helps people. But that's a decision you're going to have to make after talking to a professional, a medical professional, especially somebody that is well versed in what ketamine treatment is and the best way to go about it. Here's the deal with this. Again, I know people that are having great reactions to this. Some people are swearing by it, right? And this is one of the largest case studies ever. And they're claiming 80 some odd % of people are saying that they had a positive response. But it is, whether we like it or not, it is it's an analog of PCP. So this is a dissociative drug. This is a strong drug. And I would say that you just got to be careful and you got to talk to a doctor. A lot of times people answer to that question is not where they made the most money. I always find that interesting. I certainly, hello, Jane Aldrich. I didn't make a lot of money doing the ski thing, but holy hell was I having a good time, right? Holy hell was I having a good time. My Sharona. Good to see you. Alrighty, people. That brings us pretty much to the top of the hour here. For our earlier guest, I don't ask people to choose. You want to go and watch somebody that trashes me all day long? You got the right to do that. I do wonder why the hell you'd be here. I mean, if you dig what those people are doing, I can't imagine why you would want to be here watching me. But that's up to you, because I don't much care, to be really honest with you. This right here, that's a cat in a basket. Quite possibly the greatest cat in North America. Squirrel Nut is nothing if not special. And I will be putting up a short or two about Squirrel before the night is through. Hey, I love you guys. I really do. I will be back tomorrow. Same squirrel time, same squirrel channel. Between now and then, reach out and try to save somebody. Have a good night.